This happened in the summer of 2022, and to this day, I still don't run in the woods anymore. I used to be a dedicated trail runner. Early mornings, long stretches, just me and the sound of my feet pounding dirt. It was peaceful, therapeutic. But after what happened, I can't even look at a wooded trail the same way again. I live in northern Michigan, not far from a national forest. There's a well-known trail system there, the kind hikers, backpackers, and ultra runners love. One of my favorite spots was this 10-mile loop near the Pine River. Isolated but not too far from civilization, you could finish it in under 2 hours if you were moving at a decent pace. It was late July, hot during the day, but the mornings were cool, damp, and quiet. I'd gotten to the trailhead around 5:30 a.m. Sunlight was just beginning to creep through the trees. I parked my car in the gravel lot, strapped on my hydration pack, and started my run. I didn't bring earbuds or anything, never do. I like hearing what's around me. About 2 miles in, I had that weird feeling, like I was being watched. It wasn't overpowering, just a small itch in the back of my brain. I brushed it off. Early morning light and long shadows can mess with your senses. Plus, animals move through these woods all the time. But maybe 10 minutes later, I caught something in my periphery. A person. I stopped and turned. Nothing. Just trees and brush. But I was sure I'd seen someone. A flash of dark fabric between the trees. It was off trail, maybe 20 feet in. Could have been another runner, maybe even a hunter in early gear. Though it wasn't hunting season, still, it was strange. I picked up my pace. By mile 4, I'd almost forgotten about it. The trail had these rolling hills, and you'd lose sight of the path ahead sometimes. As I crested one of those hills, I heard something. Footsteps. Not mine. I know what my own cadence sounds like. These were behind me. Heavier, inconsistent, like someone was either running poorly or walking quickly. I slowed down and turned around, expecting to see another jogger. But there was no one. I waited a few seconds, nothing but the sound of birds and wind. I tried to calm myself down, told myself it was just paranoia, or maybe a deer. And then I noticed it. On the trail behind me, fresh footprints, large ones, men's shoes, clearly defined in the damp soil, and not there earlier when I passed this way. Someone was definitely on the trail with me. I don't know what it was, instinct, fear, whatever. But I started running harder. My heart rate climbed. I wasn't sprinting, but I wasn't pacing either. I just wanted to get back to my car. Then the woods went quiet. And I mean dead quiet. No birds, no bugs, just my breath and the soft thump of my shoes. That's when I heard it again. Footsteps. Louder, closer. I stopped, turned around, and I saw him. Just for a second. A man, tall, broad shoulders, wearing what looked like a black hoodie, but his hood was up. He was maybe 50 feet back, standing half behind a tree. I shouted, "Hey, you okay?" He didn't answer. He didn't move, just stood there, staring. I turned and started running again. Harder this time. The trail split at one point, a shortcut back to the lot if you took the right path. I almost missed it because I was in full-on panic mode. As I took the turn, I glanced back. He was closer, still not running, just walking, but somehow he was closing the distance. I don't know how to describe the fear I felt. It wasn't just that someone was following me. It was the way he moved, the calm, steady pace, like he knew I couldn't outrun him. I made it to the last stretch, a narrow part of the trail that led to the lot. I could see my car through the trees. I felt this massive surge of relief, and then I heard it. Footsteps, fast, charging. I didn't look back. I bolted, got to my car, ripped the door open, slammed it shut, and locked everything. My hands were shaking so bad it took me 3 tries to start the engine. When I finally did, I peeled out of that lot so fast I nearly hit the ditch. I didn't look in the rearview mirror until I was on the main road. He wasn't there. No sign of anyone. Just the empty woods. I called the sheriff's office when I got home, filed a report. They sent a car out, checked the area, said they didn't find anyone. No vehicles, no suspicious activity. But a deputy did call me back later that week. Said someone else had reported a similar incident. Runner followed near the same trail. Described the same man. Black hoodie, tall, silent. Nothing came of it. No arrest, no real evidence. But I know what I saw. I haven't been trail running since. I stick to sidewalks now, neighborhoods, anywhere with streetlights and people. Because whatever, or whoever that was, he knew those woods better than I did. And if I'd tripped or taken the wrong turn, I don't think I'd be here telling this story. I've always been a solo runner. There's just something peaceful about it. Me, my headphones, and the sound of my shoes hitting the dirt, especially on the trails outside Boulder, Colorado. I moved here for school, stayed after graduation, and kept up the habit of running alone every other evening, just to clear my head. But what happened on a Sunday evening last fall changed the way I see those quiet trails forever. It started out normal. I left around 6:30 p.m., figuring I had at least an hour before it got too dark. The sun was just starting to set behind the mountains, painting the sky orange and purple. I took my usual loop, about 5 miles, lightly wooded, mostly dirt path with a few rocky stretches. Not many people were ever out that late, which I liked. But about 2 miles in, I noticed something strange. There was a man ahead of me on the trail. At first, I didn't think much of it. He had a hoodie on with the hood pulled all the way up, and dark jeans, which already struck me as odd. Who runs in jeans? As I got closer, I expected him to move aside, like everyone usually does on these narrow trails, but he didn't. He just kept walking dead center, slow and steady. I had to slow down behind him. I took out one earbud and said, "Hey, excuse me, on your left." He didn't react, and I said it louder, "Hey, passing on your left." Still nothing, so I gave a polite little jog around him on the edge of the trail. As I passed, I glanced at his face, and, well, that's the thing. I don't know what I saw. His head was turned toward me, but his face was shadowed, like unnaturally shadowed, no features. Just this blank dark area where his face should have been, even though there was still enough sunlight. It gave me a weird chill, but I told myself it was just the lighting, or maybe he was wearing something over his face. I didn't stop to figure it out. I kept running. After a few minutes, I looked back. He was gone. The trail behind me was empty, and that should have been that. I was spooked, sure, but I brushed it off. I was tired, probably imagining things. Except 10 minutes later, I saw him again. Up ahead, same hoodie, same jeans, same steady walk, like he was waiting for me. I stopped dead in my tracks. There was no other way he could have gotten in front of me. The trail didn't loop back that way, and I hadn't passed any splits or turnoffs where he could have gone around me. He shouldn't have been there. I slowly started jogging forward again, watching him the whole time. I was about 50 feet away when he suddenly turned and walked off the trail into the trees. No sound, no rustling branches, just gone. I picked up the pace. I wanted off the trail as fast as possible, but the weird part, the trail felt longer, way longer than it should have been. I know that loop like the back of my hand. I've done it dozens of times, but I kept running, and the usual landmarks, fallen log, wooden bridge, the sharp turn near the boulder, none of them showed up. It was like I was running in circles. My phone said I'd gone almost 6 miles, but I was still surrounded by woods. No sign of the trailhead, no sounds, no birds, no wind. Then I heard something behind me. Footsteps, fast ones, heavy, getting closer. I looked back expecting to see someone else out for a late run, but it was him. The same guy. Only this time he was running too. Flat out sprinting toward me. His hood was still up, but now I could see something like a grin, but too wide, stretching almost from ear to ear. I bolted. I don't think I've ever run that fast in my life. My legs were burning, my heart was pounding, but I didn't stop. I couldn't. Every time I looked back, he was still there, 20 feet behind me, maybe less, never slowing, never gaining, just there. Eventually, the trail split. I didn't think. I just turned right and hoped for the best. And suddenly, just like that, I was out. The trees opened up. I saw the parking lot, my car. I looked back one last time. Empty trail, no one there. I locked myself in my car and sat there, shaking until it was fully dark. When I got home, I checked the running app on my phone. It showed a straight path, no turns, no loops, just one continuous trail. And then a sharp dead end at the point where I turned and found the exit. The right turn I made, it didn't exist on the map. Just woods. I drove back the next afternoon, walked the trail in daylight. That split I'd taken, it wasn't there. Not even a path. Just trees and thickets and overgrowth. No signs anyone had ever gone that way. I haven't run since. I've switched to gyms, treadmills, and well-lit city sidewalks. It's not the same, but at least I know where I'm going, At least I know the people I pass are real. And I never ever run in the woods alone anymore, because I'm still not sure what that thing was. But I'm afraid if I go back, it'll be waiting. This happened 2 years ago in 2023 in northern Utah. I used to run daily in a wooded area just outside town, not far from the mountains. I'm not some hardcore athlete or marathon guy. I just liked clearing my head in the evenings, usually a 5 to 6 mile loop through the trees, sometimes alone, sometimes with my dog, Cooper. This area is beautiful, especially near sunset, but it also gets remote fast. There are long stretches where you don't see another person for miles, and the tree canopy can make it darker than it actually is. I'd run that same trail dozens of times without a single issue, until that one night. I remember it was a Friday, late August. The sun was just beginning to dip below the mountains. I had a rough day at work and decided to go for a solo run, leave Cooper at home. That's a decision I still regret. I started the trail around 7:15 p.m., thinking I had enough light to finish. The air was warm but not too humid, and there was barely any wind. It felt peaceful, calm. About a mile in, I passed a couple on bikes going the opposite direction. They nodded at me, and that was the last time I saw another person. At around mile 3, I started to get the feeling I was being watched. You know that sensation, like something just shifts in the air? My pace slowed a bit. I looked over my shoulder. Nothing. Just trees. So I kept going, telling myself I was just being paranoid. But then I heard something, twigs snapping. Not just once, repeatedly, and always off to my right. It wasn't an animal. The steps were too heavy, measured, like someone was trying to be quiet, but not quiet enough. I stopped running. The sound stopped too. "Hello," I called out. Nothing. I waited a few seconds, heart pounding in my chest, before I slowly kept jogging. The footsteps didn't return at first, but then maybe half a mile later, I heard them again. Now they were behind me, closer. I turned around fast, scanning the trail behind me. Still nothing. This time, I got a real spike of fear. I wasn't just spooked, I felt threatened. I pulled out my phone to call someone, but I had zero signal, not even one bar. That wasn't unusual for this area, but it felt so much worse knowing I might not be alone out there. I picked up my pace, trying not to break into a full sprint. The trail began to curve into a denser section of woods, where the branches above blocked even more light. Dusk was falling fast now. That's when I heard it again, footsteps, but this time they were running. Whoever it was, they were sprinting toward me. I didn't wait. I took off full speed, not caring about rocks or roots anymore. I sprinted as hard as I could, dodging branches, my heart slamming in my chest. But the footsteps behind me didn't fade. They got louder, closer. I didn't dare look back. I reached a fork in the trail where one path looped back to the parking lot and the other went deeper into the woods. I didn't think. I just veered left toward the exit. The footsteps stopped. Just like that, gone. I slowed down, sucking in air, trying to listen. All I could hear was my own breathing and the blood pounding in my ears. I looked around. Still no one. The forest was dead quiet. Too quiet. Then I saw it. Something standing in the trees about 30 feet off the trail. It wasn't moving. I couldn't see a face. Just the outline of a person, tall, lanky, wearing dark clothes. The way it stood, it wasn't natural. It was almost too still, like it wasn't breathing. I shouted again, "Hey, you need help or something?" No answer. It didn't flinch. I took a step backward, and that's when it moved, but not toward me. It just took a step sideways, still watching me. Then another step, and another. It was circling the trail, almost silently, staying just beyond the trees. I bolted again. I didn't stop running until I saw the wooden gate near the trail entrance where the parking lot was. I didn't even wait to get to my car. I sprinted the last stretch and locked myself inside, gasping, shaking. The lot was completely empty, no other cars. I was totally alone. I drove home that night and didn't tell anyone. I figured maybe it was a prank, some crazy person trying to mess with hikers. Still, I didn't run that trail again for a while. But here's the part that still messes with me. 2 weeks later, I saw a post on a local Facebook group. A woman said her teenage son had been running that same trail around the same time in the evening. He came home with a bloody arm and scratches down his back. Said someone chased him through the trees, but never saw who. A few other runners commented, people who'd seen a figure in the woods, watching from the trees. Same general description. And one guy who worked at the ranger station said something I'll never forget. That trail has history. A hiker went missing out there in the 90s. They never found his body, but they did find his shoes. Both of them, placed neatly side by side at the base of a tree. Like he just vanished. I haven't run alone since, and I never, ever run after dark.